is Divine.
My name is Olivia.
I'm Deana.
My name is Nina.
And
this is
the
Woke
Fountain.
Okay, guys. So for today, you guys know, college lifestyle can depend on many factors. A huge one is living space. Many college or university students live in dorms. Others choose to live in apartments with roommates close by, and some remain at home if their campus is close by. But what do these people with different circumstances have in common? Struggles that are associated with these conditions. Fun fact for the day. According to the 2010 census data, there were 50,444 people living in student housing, with most of them being female. So this is where we keep it real and raw. Stay tuned for today's episode. Okay, guys. So for today's episode, we're going to be talking about different styles of accommodation and how it has affected us in the good and bad. So today we can start with restrictive household, if that makes sense. I can start by sharing that at first, when I started college, I started with a two-year college, and I was living in a restrictive household, I was living with an aunt and uncle and a cousin. So my aunt was really nice, everything was going fine, but she was so restrictive. It's like I had to be back home at a certain time. I wasn't allowed to go to places, and sometimes I wanted to stay at school and read more, like going to the library, maybe going for school events, that could help me, social wise, that could help me academic and non-academic wise. But as I said, it was a restrictive household. I wasn't able to do most of that, so that affected my mental health. I started becoming scared. I was always anxious because I was always time conscious. It's oh my God, it's 4 p.m. I need to get back home. I need to pick up the kid. I need to do this. I need to do that. And honestly, my grades, let's just say that for one year, I only had one A, and most of the times it was C's and B's. And that was literally by, should I say, by a thin hair that I actually got there. So I would say that there was a lot of negative, in my restrictive home. I do know in some people's restrictive home, it kind of helps them, depending on the individual and where they're staying, The only good thing I can say is that, the only good I think about it, the only good thing I can say is that my aunt was a nice person as a friend, but she was not that nice person as an aunt, if that makes sense. I did have laughs and I did have some, should I say, joy living with her, but overall it was just so hectic. And then now that I think about it, I was literally scared of everything, especially as an international student. Living in a restrictive home is so scary because there's a lot of things that you're scared of, and I was a minor too. So it's am I allowed to do this? Am I not allowed to do this? So it was a very hard situation for me. And me being an adaptive person, I had to adapt into being in such in an enclosed setting, if that makes sense. And I didn't grow, if that makes sense. I was stuck in one place. And I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying. It's being when you're scared of the world, you're scared of so many things. It's I was so scared of my aunt. I was just so scared of what was going to happen. Most of the time I was crying to my friends. I'm just oh, sorry, I wish I could come. Cry to my mom and dad. I was at the same time, I don't want to worry my parents. But it was just so hard. Have you guys had friends, or have you guys been in a situation where you're being in such a restrictive home, and how would you say it has affected you with your college life? Because for me, mine was it wasn't extremely bad, but at the same time, it wasn't good.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to the restrictive household because my household living has been restrictive since the day I was born. Because I'm from Sierra Leone. So even in Sierra Leone, it was a bit restrictive, but not compared to when I came to the US. In Sierra Leone, I could at least visit neighbors and play with the kids there. Or I even had sleepovers sometimes. But when I came here, it was worse because I don't live with my mom. She's still in Sierra Leone. So I live with my aunt and other people. And so my aunt is just she doesn't want any trouble, especially since like she has to take care of me in my mom's place. So she's like, okay, I don't want anything to happen to you. You're here in a foreign country and I'm responsible for you. If anything happens to you, then I have to take that responsibility. So she is extra strict with things, especially socially. Like as Divine said, she was always afraid of and always time conscious. I was me, even for college activities. Like I used to be a secretary of the Korean club. And even for meetings, I had to leave the meetings early, an hour early, so I can go home because I was just that afraid of them saying, what are you doing? Like, come home, And like, I would get like threats. They'll be like, okay, you will go back to Sierra Leone. I don't want to go back,
Exactly.
I'm good here, you know what I'm saying? So things like that is what would like time conscious. And also like what Divine mentioned, I just like related to automatically when she talked about friends. So my family more so is more restrictive about friendships compared to other things. They think friends have like a big influence on people's lives for some reason. So they feel like if you associate with certain types of friends, they would have a very bad influence. But the thing is, like, I don't have bad friends. Like, look at you guys. Like, we're here, we're doing a podcast. Y'all aren't bad people. You're all motivational, supportive, inspirational, and they just don't get it. They think like everyone out there could have some sort of negative influence. And so because of that, I wasn't allowed to go out as much with friends, which did not make much sense to me because in high school, I was living right next to the school, like right next, like it was just a 5-minute walk from my high school to the apartment. And just because I said I wanted to stay after school to study with friends, they're like, no, you cannot do that. Come home. And it's like a 5-minute walk right next to the school. They wouldn't let me stay in the library to study. And I'm trying to study. It's not like I'm going to the club with friends. No, like they could easily just like track me down or something because I don't even have the ability to go to the club that time because I did not know how to take the bus. I didn't have a car. So how would I get there? And my friends did not drive either. So yeah. So yeah. Even after school activities, I think high school was the worst for me because I lived right next to the school. So it's like, why can't I stay here? Like if I go home, this is gonna be the same. What?
And I say it makes you like question a lot of things.
Yeah. Cause it's like, okay, I just want to stay to do some stuff. If I go home, I'm still gonna study a little bit, but I prefer studying in the library at school with friends. But just because it was with friends, they're like, no, come back. But yeah, there's definitely some pros to living with restrictive in a restrictive household, even though most of what I just said were cons. The pros would be like it helped me kind of get my shit together in terms of being more responsible in like career path-wise, school-wise. Like I would be searching a lot for internships. I would be studying a lot. Like it didn't affect my grades as how Divine mentioned hers. Because I was trying to improve my grades so they can let me out. They're like, okay, if you improve your grades, then you can go out. But they still did not let me out, so I don't know. But I still got my stuff together. That was a good thing. The cons were all the other stuff I mentioned, the time conscious, the anxiety, me thinking, okay, why can't I just hang with friends? Like friends made me more happy in a way, and I felt like I was being deprived of that. Also, friends could be good connections in like the
and it
career.
can be good therapy too in situations like this.
Yeah. Like I did not feel comfortable talking with family about certain things that I would be comfortable talking with friends. So for me, when I was deprived with hanging and interacting with friends, it kind of took away that aspect for me. So how I coped mostly was I tried to hang out with friends virtually. And if I could not hang out in person, I'm glad I have like friends that didn't mind like watching a movie with me virtually. Like for my birthday last time, it was just a virtual movie thing. And I just like appreciated that they took the time to hang with me. So that was just really good. So if you're in the same situation as me and how Divine was, you can find many things to cope, like hanging with friends virtually. You can find ways to even make money from home. I'm trying to make a lot of money from home so that when I do get independence, I will be ready. So that's a way that you can cope with the whole situation. You make some money from home. Just find many things to do, like hobbies that you can do from home too, like drawing. You can find a new inspiration, a new passion. So yeah, you can do those things.
What do you think? Why do you think your like foreign parents are so protective of you guys, of your social life coming into America? Like, do you think there's like some sort of stereotype of Americans that places a fear in them that they want to protect you from?
I was about to add that they watch too much news. So anything that is portrayed in the news about America, like the school shootings, like drugs, as you mentioned, and all those other bad things that are in the news. My mom watches it 24/7, even though she's in Sierra Leone, and she thinks like America is just a war zone, which just makes my situation worse because she does not know how it is like right here. She's not here, so she can't tell. She just tells from what she sees. So
that's so like interesting because it's like the social media really does have they portray America like, or I could say like, I would say the social media could portray groups of Americans very differently because I know my one friend, I have an Indian friend, and her parents always, ever since high school, we're like best friends. They've always said no to her hanging out with me, and I truly think it's because I'm Black, and the way they portray Black people in America, like as thugs and as lowlives, and they don't want to associate their daughter with someone like me because they may think I may have a bad influence. And it's like, clearly I haven't had a bad influence on her. And they are also very, very, very like restrict. Like she hasn't been allowed to like go out or do anything like that. And it's like, I do think there are definitely pros and cons to a restrictive lifestyle. And unfortunately, I do see that con showing in her, which is rebellion. And she's like, I can't wait to get out so I can do this and do that. And I'm talking, she's like, I can't wait to go to parties and I can't wait to get tattoos and piercings, like all that stuff that her parents are trying to keep her from. And like also like hanging out with friends who her parents didn't allow. So like me, and then other groups of people who are of color. So like I find that very interesting how like foreign
buyers
allow social media to really like affect their mind, because everything you see in social media isn't like valid. It's not real. You know, not every Black person is a lowlife, is a thug, is a nobody who is a dropout. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just crazy how like social media could really, because her parents also stick to the news and watch the news all the time. So it's just like they will believe whatever, unfortunately. But for me, I live on the opposite like spectrum. You know, I don't really have a restrictive home. It used to be a bit restrictive, but that was when I was young. But that makes sense because I was young. I was in middle school. You know, they weren't going to allow me to go out at a party at nighttime. Like that wouldn't seem very responsible of a parent to do that. But now that I'm older, I do see my parents becoming more lenient in my 20s. So of course you're going to want me to go out and do this. It's just like the way they tell me is, but it's like with every action, there's a consequence, whether it's a good or bad consequence. And you're at the age where you know what's right and wrong. So you can do this, but make sure you know exactly what you're doing and the aftermath of it. So it's kind of like you live and you learn for me, living in this type of home, you live and you learn instead of you're going to live how I want you to live and you're going to learn just that way. So yeah, I would say me being at home, like ever since COVID happened, so I would say before all of this, I went to Stevenson University and I lived on campus. And I would say that experience for me was terrible. I guess I would say it's terrible just only because like my ex was there. Like that was one reason why it was terrible. And I wasn't really as social. And then COVID happened and I lived and I moved at home. And at first it was bad because like that's when I literally got into the breakup. So it was like now I'm in a breakup and I'm in my house and I can't go anywhere. So like I that restrictive lifestyle started to happen only because of COVID, not because of my parents, but because of COVID.
Oh.
So I can kind of relate to like the restrictive part only due to a pandemic that happened worldwide. And so it still affected me. Like one, it affected me because I can't go out and I can't hang with friends. I can't get my mind off of.
Your mom had to be strong on that. She was like, Olivia, you can't get out.
Yeah. So it was like, not only that, but now I can relate because it's like my mom watches the news. So by her watching the news and seeing what's happening in the world of the pandemic, she's like, you're not going out. You're going to stay in the house. You're going to do this. It's not because that's the way she wants me to live. It's because she wants to protect me only because of what's happening right now in the world. So I had to be in the house for quite a long time and it did affect me like mentally. Like I was like having anxiety and I never had anxiety. You know what I'm saying? I literally like anxiety became a part of me. And I do think it's all a mental thing. But when you're like caged up in a room all day, like it just, everything just kind of closes in on you. So that's where like my anxiety and all that kind of kicked in. But over time, like I was able to adapt to this caged life. And I kind of found my outside pieces on the inside of my house. So I discovered painting and then I went back onto doing like my poetry, and other things such. And then also on top of that, I wasn't able to be social outside. So there were other routes I could take to be social. And that was being social virtually. Not only would I interact with my friends online and watch movies, but like I would also like go on apps and talk to people. And I don't do it anymore because now everything's been lifted. So I go out and interact. But I used to go on like virtual sites and like talk to people, meet people. And I actually made really good friends out of that who I still talk to today. So, but you have to be careful doing that, of course. But like but what I'm saying is like over time, I was able to accept that restrictive lifestyle and made something out of it. And which is where I'm at right now. I discovered like over the summer, like I really want to move out and I want to get my own place because I can't keep doing it. Like, yes, everything's been lifted and I'm being able to go out and be social, but I think I just want to move out. So that has motivated me into working hard, getting a job, finding not just any job, but a job that can give me a really good income. And I'm talking about like government job because part-time money isn't really going to help me get an apartment unless I wait plus years. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So, that definitely like being at home definitely motivated me to get my stuff together and get ready to move out and move on in my adulthood. And so, yeah, there are definitely many pros and cons to being at home, being a college student. I would mention another, like, if I had the opportunity to live on campus, I want to take it only because campus is so expensive. And I did consider it again, like for me living in I guess like you could say like an apartment style dorm, like just me being a single that would be $6,000 like each semester. And if it's a double, it's $5,000 each semester. And it's like, I'm not going to put up in debt just to live somewhere for 2+ years. Like that's just not what I'm about to do. I'd rather take advantage of being at home and kind of build that foundation. So after I can move out and I have money in my pocket. So I definitely like people who have like, you know, like if you live at home, I definitely like take advantage of that only if it's not a toxic home. You know, it's a very like, I guess, I don't know if permissive is the term, but it's a nice free range, you know, lifestyle at your house. And you have a choice to stay there or leave. I definitely say start with living there and take advantage of having that free housing with no bills to pay, or at least not like big bills to pay, but definitely take advantage of being at home so you can kind of build up your money and you can move out and have your stuff together. You don't have to put yourself in debt, and you don't have to rush out, get an apartment just to end up in a deeper situation, because there are many things that comes with having an apartment. And I know Divine can relate with that because she has her own apartment. And when I was getting into apartments, there are income restrictions and there's like a deposit. So you're actually putting out lots of money for an apartment, which is why I had to stop looking at apartments this summer, because I was like, yeah, that's a lot of money. I was going to put down like $1,000 just for my first month in an apartment. And that's like, that was going to be like half my bank account. So I couldn't do that. So like, I know Divine, you can relate with like the responsibility that come with having an apartment. So like people who are looking into apartments right now, what are some things they can like look out for before they make that big step in their adulthood?
Honestly, looking for an apartment, right? It's like, first of all, do you have the money? You know, what are you looking for? Do you want an apartment just by yourself? Do you want to have like roommates? Because roommates make it cheaper, expensive, you know. And when you're getting an apartment, it's like, do you mind like a stranger as a roommate, or do you prefer somebody that you know, that you don't mind talking to them about different situations? Like, you know, because like some type of topics are hard to talk about, like financial situations, right? And like maybe roommates that you don't mind sharing things with, you know, like, first of all, you have to look at the cost. You have to look at the living. It's like, okay, what type am I looking for? For instance, I have 3 roommates for my journey because I have roommates that I'm very free and comfortable with. You know, we have talks, you know, we buy groceries together. Sometimes we have like groceries that we share. Sometimes we cook for each other. So in a way, it's not like the typical meaning of roommates that somebody you live with. It's more like somebody that you consider like a family, at the same time still having boundaries, if that makes sense. It's like everybody has their own room, right? What is the best situation for 3 of you? Because if you're thinking of apartment with roommates, it's like, what's the best thing for all of you, right? Like, let me say in my roommates, right? Only one person drives, the rest of us doesn't drive. So that means it's better to get an apartment close to the school, because like the university we're going to is far away from our individual houses, you know, and it's better to get an apartment close there, right? So it's like, okay, what type of apartment will be best for us? Like utilities not included, utilities included. We got one that utilities included, which is very, very nice, you know. Okay, what's the price for that one? For us, it was like $1,999. So basically for me, it's like, I guess $650 a month to pay. When you compare it to other prices, it's like, oh, maybe it's the same, but then you have to like pay for utilities, and then that's like your money increases, right? So, and you also have to look at like apartments, because some apartments have income restrictions. It's like, oh, you have to be making an income, right? We have to see where you're getting your money from. Maybe some apartments you can co-sign with somebody like your mom, your dad, your guardian, or auntie, or your sister, to like meet that requirement of like income restriction, right? Or some apartments like the one we have now, they don't have like that income restriction, if that makes sense. It's like, okay, you come in you have 5 days grace to like pay your rent. You have to pay your rent and stuff like that, right? Sorry. And it's like when you're living with people or when you're planning to have roommates, it's like, okay, you have to be considerate of others, right? In a lot of things, especially when it comes to the money aspect. So, and you have to do research. Everybody has to do research. That's another thing. It's like, okay, yeah, it's like you're doing research. One person's like looking at this area, one person's looking at the other area, and you have to like use websites. So there's a lot of things to like consider when getting an apartment, you know. As I said, the income, if you're comfortable with these people. I do know like some people find roommates online because I guess it's not every day, like it's not that easy to find people like your friends that are going to the same school with you. Now that I think about it, it's like you don't necessarily have friends that will go to the same school with you. So that means you can't necessarily have your friends like your roommate. But some people, what they do is like they go online to the school's website, okay, looking for roommates. And the best thing they do is like hang out with those future roommates of theirs, like get acquainted with one another to see if a friendship is there and, you know, agree to be roommates, or they just like see that person as someone that is just there to pay half of the bills with them, and you can just like go along with them, I guess. Because I know someone that's just like, yeah, I have a roommate, but like we don't talk, and I'm just like, wow, okay, you know. So I mean, I don't know if I can do that because I'm a very talkative person. If you haven't noticed, I'm just like, okay, I guess that's for you. And then some people do housing. I know someone that does housing with a couple of people. It's like a house itself, not like an apartment. I don't know how the housing works because I guess you pay rent to the owner of the house, basically. You know,
I'm not sure that works. Yeah,
that works too. You know that some apartments come with furnitures included. That's usually university apartments. You know, those ones are very expensive. Again, it's like what's in your pocket, you know. And then some apartments, like the one I have here, is like it just comes with the apartment itself, utilities included. What I'm looking for, the heat and cooling system included. You buy your furnitures because like then again you have to like add furnitures to your expense. Like get yourself a bed. What type of bed are you looking for? And slowly build up your room and your living room because it's like all of you together. That's another thing. It's like, am I looking for an apartment that has furnitures included? That's not expensive. Or am I looking for the one that I have to like buy furnitures for myself too? So it's just like all these things you ask yourself, and you have to have communication with your roommates, right? Whether you like them or not, or whether they're your friends or not, it's like that communication is there. Like, hey, would you like to be buying furniture together? Because technically the living room we're using together. I don't know if people plan to have their personal furnitures, like in the sense of this is my couch, this is your couch, your couch, this is my couch. It's like, okay, this is my TV, this is your TV. You use half of the kitchen, this is your kitchen, this is that.
You use half the toilet.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't sit on my side.
You draw a line. There's like a white line. You draw a white line. This half of the living room is yours.
That's why I was gonna say. That's why it's like Divine. You're fully right. That's why it's so important to like as you're talking with that roommate that you meet, you actually need to like build a connection, like get to know them. Like I know when I was speaking to the one roommate who I unfortunately had to drop because of money, like I was able to get on the phone with her and talk to her, and we had a really good connection, and we're still in contact with each other. But it's like very important to like get to know that person because you want to know who you're moving in with, and you also want to know what they got going on. And it's going to get uncomfortable at some points because like you're going to really have to ask them like, are you good financially? Because what you don't want to do is put yourself in a situation where like when you make a security deposit, your name is on that contract until that contract is up. And if they damage it or if they can't make a payment, you're going to have to make up that payment, and it's going to put you in some serious trouble. So definitely get to know that person and understand what they got going on their end before you make that big move in an apartment or in a home.
Yeah. You like when you get an apartment, you don't aim to get an apartment. You aim to get like a home, if that makes sense. It's like people you're free with. As I said, it's not everybody that has that lucky situation that your friends are going to the same school with you, so you can get your friends to be your roommates, you know. And then again, it's like you have to like make sure. I mean, everybody knows themselves. It's like you have to be able to know if you're livable. It's like, okay, am I okay to live with somebody? Because there are some people that it's just like, I don't know if I can live with them, if that makes sense. Like, there are some people that are just like, I've heard stories about some roommates, and I'm just like, dang, I'm so lucky. Like, among all my roommates, I'm the most annoying. By the end of the day, it's like, I feel like I'm still livable. Like, you can still live with me, you know? It's like, everybody has their room, right? So keep your mess in your room. When you come outside, it's like, be nice, be clean. That's a shared space there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? And I agree with Olivia, it's like, go out with this person, see if you guys have a rapport, you know, and having that difficult conversation, sorry. It's like, I feel like financial talks are always difficult because it's like, yeah, honey, it's time to pay the rent. Where's your money? You know? Or it's like, oh yeah, so for this furniture and this and that, I'm so lucky. I'm blessed with my roommates, honey, because like they did most of the furniture work. I just gave them my part of the money because I was just like, yeah, I do not have time. Too lazy to like start searching decorative and stuff like that. Honestly, I'm blessed, to be honest.
I know, Nina, you live with your parents as well, right? What are some things you have experienced with living at home?
Well, actually, like 2 cents on the whole apartment stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, well, I think it's pretty much society's fault. Where we're like, okay, we're 18, we need to move out now. But like, honestly, that's not. It doesn't have to be like that. I feel like a lot of people tried it, and now they're actually moving back with their parents because they're like, ooh, nah. We have bills now. Ooh, we gotta pay for water. Ooh, we gotta buy groceries. Like, it's really hard, and it's honestly a big step. People are forgetting the whole responsibility thing because I mean, living with your parents, it's easy. Like you chilling, bro. You chilling.
Live in free.
Yeah, you chilling. Once you step outside, it becomes real hard. So just make sure like you're ready for that first, and don't be afraid to take advantage of like your parents. I mean, they love you. They're here for you. So you gotta be chilling until you're 25 at your parents' house. That's fine.
Or your guardian. Yeah.
Or your guardian.
But don't be lazy about it. Like actually still try to come up.
I mean, obviously, like help out with your family. I mean, if you just decide to give it a job or whatever, I don't know, be like, okay, well, mom, I feel like I'm responsible, or dad, or whatever. You know, maybe I could run out the basement, or maybe I can give you like $100 a month towards bills, or maybe I can help you cook, or like still do your part. Don't be like just chilling on the couch all day. But yeah, still take advantage of like living with your parents. But yeah, if you need to search for an apartment, like go ahead. Like as they were saying, like make sure you vet your people, like for real, especially financially. You got to make sure you have people that are financially responsible in your living quarters. Like when you go ahead and sign that contract, that lease, make sure every single person is on that lease and on that contract. Don't be like, oh yeah, they'll just come and live with me and they'll just pay me rent. No, if they stop paying you rent and their name is not on the lease, that falls back on you legally. You can't be like, oh, they promised. No, that's not in writing. The only thing they have in writing is your name on that lease, on that contract. Mm-hmm. So the responsibility falls on you. If they decide to leave like 6 months in and you still owe 6 months, you're screwed, man. So make sure all your names are on that lease and you pay attention to who you're living with. But for me personally, I feel like, yeah, I'm living at home with my mom, and it's honestly been pretty chill. I mean, I feel like being in an African household, yeah, I did have that restrictive thing, but I feel like over time it got a little bit easier, mostly because I think it boiled down to having trust. Like once my mom started giving me little things, she started trusting with more. Be like, okay, well, yeah, you can go this place and come home at 6 if I say I want to study. Or okay, well, if you want to go to a movie, sure, you can stay out till 8 or 9. And then over time, maybe you can stay out till 11. So like, once you build,
you guys had great communication.
Yeah. Communication. And mostly, as I said, it's really trust, because once they start giving you those little things, you really need to honor it, because living in an African household, they can take it away real quick. So you need to know that this is a privilege that you have and honor it as a privilege that you have. So once they start giving you these little things, yeah, you really are grateful for it. So I mean, I thank God because Lord knew I would have gone crazy if shit I was still if I had to be stuck. I mean, like God knows my heart. Like if I had to be stuck like this, nah, I would have been like, I'm breaking out of
He
here.
knows what you're capable of. He won't
Yeah,
give you a
that door, I would
broken
have jumped out that door, man. Like this window right here, I would have jumped out, bro. I don't care.
No, I feel you because because I have my own vehicle and with not being so restrictive in this house, it's like if something happened, I feel like all right then you little man right now, I'm gonna go drive down the driveway and I'm gonna go kick on the road real quick and I'll be back later. And you still but you're right, like you still have to build that trust because if they let you out late at night, make sure you're back home when they say to be back home so they can trust you and you can do it again and go even further if you want. But all about trust and communication in those type of
Especially an African household, they know, bro. If you say you're going to a movie, you better be going to a movie or don't be playing games. Like if you come home at 11, your mom will be texting, hey, you say you are going to a movie or what were you doing in DC? How did you know? They be knowing stuff, right? So make sure you say where you going.
You know what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, Deana,
when Nina mentioned that if you're going to a movie, you better be going to a movie. There's this thing my family does where if you're going to one place and then you text them, can I go to this other place after? They're like, no, you told me this place. So you go there and come home. They won't let you go to like another place. Like, for example, if I want to go to a movie and then get drinks after, they're like, no, you didn't tell me about drinks.
Bro.
Come back home. Things like that.
But I think that basically sums up everything when it comes to like our like living like lifestyle as college students. You have people who have that like restrictive lifestyles and how they adapt to that, and then you have people who have that free range lifestyle and how they also like live with that and things you can and the pros and cons on the spectrum on both sides of the spectrum.
Oh wait, I kind of want to add to that. I just realized something. At first, like living in a restrictive household is not bad in the sense of like maybe from a young age and then start transitioning into a free range lifestyle, just like Nina was saying earlier.
And that comes from trust and communication.
Yeah, exactly. Because that helps. Because like when they restrict you at first, a good way of restriction or not some bad ways that it's just like you start questioning it, if that makes sense. Because I was the only child. I was living in Nigeria. There was a lot of, kind of like violence and stuff like that going on then. But it's better in some ways now. I don't know. But yeah, it's like it kind of like grows you. It kind of like molds you and it makes you like feel like, oh, I don't feel like doing these things. Why would I want to do them? And I was not brought up that way. And then later on, it's like, okay, free range lifestyle, But then again, people can agree to disagree because some people, they were born free and with that freedom, they still grew up right. And then some people, it's like, let's just say the opposite direction. But yeah.
Right. Yeah. No. No, yeah, you said it all. You covered it all. You have the pros and cons on both sides of the spectrum. And for people who are like in a restrictive household, you have to build that trust and communication in order to have a little bit of that freedom over time. But yeah, that's basically it, guys. So thank you for listening to our episode where we're talking about college lifestyle and things you can learn from it. And please stay tuned and join us in the next episode. And if you have anything to say, and ask, or topics you would like to hear, please reach out to us through our social media. And once again, guys, thank you so much for joining us on The Woke Mountain, and see you next time.